Mystic Seaport is a must-see for every yachtsman, and there's no better way to visit the historic seafaring village than by boat. Those of us at Brewer Yacht Yards want you to experience your trip to this American landmark with the greatest ease possible and have the following tips for navigating up the Mystic River. By visiting Mystic Seaport, you have a chance to experience history firsthand. Founded in 1929, the museum strives to preserve the traditions of 19th century nautical life. While at the seaport, you will have the opportunity to visit the Henry B. Dupont Preservation Shipyard, explore historic vessels, witness demonstrations and performances, and stroll around several beautiful gardens. We have enlisted knowledgeable Mystic Seaport professionals to offer their advice to transient boaters on visiting the museum. Nicholas Alley, captain of the schooner Brilliant, is an expert at navigating these waters. Nicholas has been sailing since he was 9 years old and has a long career working on vessels from tugboats to classic racing yachts.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Alley. I am the captain of this wonderful schooner Brilliant, which is owned and operated by Mystic Seaport Museum. And we run it up and down the Mystic River quite a bit. And today we wanted to see if we can help you with that journey.
Before you begin your entrance into Mystic, we recommend that you see the big picture of the approach in order to orient yourself, as well as looking at close detailed sections of the entrance. This includes zooming out and in on your electronic navigation devices. We also highly recommend monitoring channels 13 and 16 and having a handheld radio in the cockpit with you at all times in order to communicate with other boaters and the bridge operators.
Here we are. This is the chart table on Brilliant, and I've laid out our Fisher's Island Sound chart.
Your approach will begin from green unlit can number 1.
The first buoy, appropriately number 1 buoy here, is a green unlit can.
To your north, you will see Morgan Point and Mouse Island on the south end of the village of Noank. While there is plenty of water if you stay in the channel, do be aware of the rocks outside of the navigational aids. You will note on your chart Whale Rock, marked by a red pole, which you will leave on your starboard side.
You come in through the channel, you can see by your chart and your depth, there's actually plenty of water all the way around here. There are 2 small rocks. There's a 6-foot section here, and then there's a 4-foot section on here. So at this point, I generally like to run the channel itself.
The channel is 9 feet at low tide and has many twists and turns. As long as you obey the channel markers and stay within the middle of the channel, you should have no problems navigating the harbor entrance. The next significant mark you will encounter is a large stone monument known as the Spindle. Identified as green 5, you will leave the Spindle on your port side. Nicholas cautions that this turn in the approach often contains a lot of other boat traffic. To your starboard side, you will see the shallow Noank anchorage bordering the channel. There are no green buoys in this portion of the approach. Stay between the land and the red channel markers.
Kind of continue to run down the reds along the Noank shoreline. There are no green buoys in this area because you can run right up to the docks at the Noank Shipyard as far as depth is concerned.
When you reach the 18 and 20 buoys, there is another turn at about a 90-degree angle. Do not cut between these buoys as it does shoal up between them.
Then you get to this next corner here, which is where the 21 is.
The next turn in the channel occurs between the 21 and 22 buoys. Nicholas warns that there is a tendency among boaters to go straight. He suggests looking in advance to find the next red navigational aid in order to mind the bend and keep you safely in the channel.
The tendency is to want to keep going straight. Do not keep going straight. Look early and you find your next red and don't go over the line between those 2.
The channel is very well marked as you pass by Mason Island on your starboard side and Sixpenny Island to port. At this point, Nicholas suggests you should make your radio calls to the bridges. Both bridges monitor channel 13.
This point is when I start thinking about the bridges.
To reach the seaport, you will have to pass through 2 bridges, the Mystic River Railroad Bridge and the Mystic Highway Bridge.
Once you're coming up the river and you get close to the bridges, now I find that the more planning I do, the better off I'm going to be. Also, the more communication I have with other boats on the bridges, the easier it's going to be to make decisions.
You'll encounter the railroad bridge first, just north of the Brewer Yacht Yard at Mystic. Unless a train is expected, the bridge is normally open and will open on call in the event that it is closed. Do note that if a train comes through and the railroad bridge is closed, this may result in you missing the scheduled opening for the highway bridge. To prevent this, be sure to communicate with the bridge operators and be early for the bridge's opening.
Very often I will call particularly the first bridge, which is the rail bridge, and just ask, if they're planning on staying open. They close when trains come. They usually close about 10 minutes before a train gets there, so it's nice to know whether you're going to be able to make the bridge or not. I recommend being on 13 for a good part of the river and leaving your radio on and accessible the entire time that you're going through the bridges and transiting through that close quarter area. That allows all the other boats to talk with you and also allows the bridge tender to keep you advised. Basically, you just turn your VHF radio, if it's not so already, onto channel 13, which is used for bridge-to-bridge communication between the bridges and vessels' bridges. Standard protocol says that you call the bridge, you repeat your vessel name 3 times. Again, I'm going to call the rail bridge Mystic Railroad Bridge, Mystic Railroad Bridge, Mystic Railroad Bridge. This is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant on channel 13. I get a response, and very often they'll come back and say, "This is Mystic Rail, how can I help you?" Yeah, good afternoon, Mystic Rail. We are plans on transiting inbound for Mystic Seaport at your next opening, or you just want to find out if you're planning on closing anytime soon. And they will say yes or no. Sometimes they'll say, yes, I got the Acela coming through, and he'll be there in 10 minutes. I'm going to have to close now. Or a lot of times he will ask where you are. So sometimes you can precede them and say, look, I'm coming by Mason's Island Marina now. Am I going to be able to make this opening? In which case they'll say yes or no. If I'm not going to make the opening, I have a tendency to slow down. I don't want to get all the way up next to the bridge and sit there and have to maneuver in the wind and the tide. So I'll just pull it back, go to idle, chug it nice and slow up the river, and you'll find that there'll be other boats doing the same thing.
Follow responsible boating practices, like going with the flow of other boat traffic and observing the rules of the road.
Just like any other narrow channel, just keep to the right and try to be predictable. A lot of times I'll also start to establish communication with the boats around me. You look back and find out what the name of the boat is and say, hey, Fred's boat back there, are you going through the bridge too? And he'll say, yeah, okay, well, I'll just follow you. Okay, great. And then you get a lot of that unpredictability out of the mixture.
The boat that has the current with them is the boat that has the right of way and will pass through the bridges first. The Mystic Highway Bridge, the country's oldest bascule drawbridge, opens at 20 minutes before each hour, every hour, from 7:40 a.m. until 6:40 p.m. The Highway Bridge opens on call prior to 7:40 a.m. and after 6:40 p.m. As is always the case when boating, you must remain vigilant, taking into account the currents, the tide, the wind direction, and weather conditions. In addition to using electronic navigational systems, Brewer always recommends that you carry and consult paper charts as well. After passing through both bridges, hail the Mystic Seaport dock office on channel 68 to alert them of your arrival. They will give you precise instructions on where you will be moored. At this time, we recommend preparing your dock lines and fenders for docking. As you proceed up the river, mind the green channel markers and stay on the eastern shore as there are shoals on the west bank. There are several slips in front of the Henry B. Dupont Preservation Shipyard at the south end of the harbor. The large red building, adjacent to the Charles W. Morgan whale ship restoration, is recognizable from almost anywhere in the harbor. For those staying in the North Yard Basin, proceed past the Bright Point replica lighthouse by Green Can 51. Both docks feature power outlets and water. Nearby facilities include restrooms, showers, laundry, and ice. Anything transient boaters would need during their stay. Len Sawyer is Mystic Seaport's longtime dockmaster.
My name is Len Sawyer. I'm the dockmaster at Mystic Seaport. I've been at the Seaport for 13 years now. And I'm the person that you'll most likely see at the dock office, either myself or one of my assistants.
You will be met at the museum by Dockmaster Len or another member of the dock staff to assist you in docking. The dock staff will supply fender boards, which will rest on your fenders to span the pilings on the dock.
When you tie up, we'll be supplying you with fender boards that will help stabilize the boat against the docks. Most of the docks here have pilings, so it's a necessity here.
All right. Well, we've landed the boat safely, and we've got the boat somewhat secure, and we're going to go ahead and do the finalizing. One of the things we like to do here at the Seaport is, because we're working against pilings and the fenders like to roll off the pilings, we'll use fender boards here, and the dock staff here will provide those for you when you come alongside. Basically, once you get your fenders in place and you can leave them down, Doug, you want to go over the sidewalk? And they just laid against the fenders that are already there. Now, in a perfect situation, what you try to do is center them on the pilings themselves in place. We've got 5 fenders, but you can do it with as few as 2, one on each end. I like to leave the fenders a foot or so in from the ends, and then just use whatever knot here. Like I said, a round turn of 2 half hitches is popular and appropriate. Now you can look down here and you can see that the fender is going to ride nicely against the fender board, will ride nicely against the piling. There's a foot or foot and a half here, so the fender won't have a tendency to roll out as the boat moves back and forth. And we've also got it down low enough so that the fender board won't ride up and over on top of the fenders themselves. As far as tying them on the boat, I generally recommend tying them to substantial things like a stanchion or a rail cap here. Another thing that I like to do is, once we get the boat tied up, is to watch it for a little bit to see how it sets, what the wind's going to do to it, and as the tide changes, is just monitor your dock lines and make sure that you keep an eye on how the boat's coming up and down and laying against the dock. And you may need to do some adjusting as time comes.
Keep in mind that at Mystic, there's an average of about 2.5 foot tide. You will also be given a sign that says, "Private vessel, do not board."
Of course, the Seaport employees and the dock folks will help you out with any of this as you come in.
Please note that Mystic constitutes a no discharge zone, but pump out service is available. Brewer Yacht Yard customers receive a 50-cent a foot discount on their dockage. Members of Mystic Seaport receive an additional discount.
When you come to the dock office to straighten up the bill with me, please make sure you have your brewer's card with you. So that I can identify it as such.
The dock office is located at the head of the Dunton and Sabino dock between the south and north yards.
The brewers' boats receive a 50-cent a foot discount on their dockage. We're members or non-members. If they're members, then it's on top of the members' discount. The dockage that they pay includes admission for everyone aboard the boat to the Seaport, which includes admission to all the different exhibits here. It also includes all the utilities for the boat, water and electric. That's all included. It's an all-inclusive price, which makes it very easy for the boaters.
We hope that you will enjoy your stay in Mystic. Please come again to the Seaport and consider Brewer Yacht Yards for all your future boating needs.